Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of Happy, Healthy and Healed. This is our lovely private group community where I show you the simple, easy process of transforming your life, transforming whatever it is that holds you back in life, whether it's the way you eat and drink that makes you unhappy, whether it's stress, anxiety, fear, past trauma, whatever it is that you feel hold you back in life is as temporary and as much of a choice as you choose to make it. Everything in your life that harms you can be changed, and you are the ones who can change it. Yes, you might need support and guidance from someone like myself as a life recovery coach. And yes, that's the quickest way, and it's not the only way. It is a journey. Finding yourself free from what's held you back in life is a journey of joy. Healing is not a journey of pain. If it was, no one would even contemplate starting it. And in my professional and personal experience and opinion, it is not a journey that has to take a long time, or, this is really important, that you have to dig back into your past. I don't believe, and I know from my own experiences and the experience of working with my clients, that to let go of your past pain does not mean that you have to go back into it, does not mean that you have to dig down, does not even mean that you have to really understand what went on, because that then takes you back into that place. Well, that's not strictly true. You never go back, you bring it into now. What's important is that you become empowered to let go of what doesn't serve you, whatever that is. So this masterclass is on trauma, how you heal. This is taking place of the 3-day live event that How You Heal, that I was going to run as of Monday. However, I couldn't because I had a big problem with my laptop. So I thought, rather than all of you that were waiting with excitement and hope, rather than leave you with nothing, I have delayed it until a bit later in the month. I would just come on and give you this masterclass, How You Heal, 6 simple steps to kickstart your healing, so that you have a framework and understanding. And also then when I run the live event, the 3-day event experience, that is, sorry, not event experience, you have a good grounding in what trauma is and what you need to do to release it yourself. So that's what we're going to talk about today. First of all, we're going to start with what trauma is. I've made notes, so please excuse me looking up and down. I want to make sure you get everything I have to give. Trauma is simply any event, is an emotional response to any event, situation, conversation, whatever, that you do not have the resources to process at that time, which is why a lot of trauma occurs when we are young, because we are so less resourceful when we're young. We don't understand that what someone's saying to us that hurts us is not about us, is a reflection of who that person is in that moment on their journey. I come from a very abusive, I don't know how else to call it, background. And as a little girl, I didn't have the resources to know that with 9 kids and no money and fear and worry, anxiety that comes with that, both financially, physically, emotionally, you snap. So I didn't know any of the background. I just knew the snap. And that snap created, I didn't understand. I didn't have the resources to process. I didn't have the awareness that it wasn't about me. I didn't understand. I thought, because what else do we think? It must be me. Children are narcissistic by shit. They don't know something, they think it's them. So that's an example of trauma that now, as an adult, I can look back and with absolute compassion at my mum and dad think, wow, that must be hard. I struggled as a single parent with 1 child and depression and so on and so forth, and my drinking. And I now, as an adult, can look back on that, but looking back on it in and of itself doesn't heal the trauma. It's just like, but it's a good start. It's a good start. So whatever it is that's happened in your life that's led you to feeling, to here, to joining this, and I can see there's 5 of you on, and thank you for joining. If you'd like to say hello, I'll try and say hello back. I'm not very good technically. So whatever it is that's brought you here, and the behaviors and consequences that you have learned to comfort the feelings you have around that trauma, and it doesn't mean that the trauma still exists in your life. It means that the negative emotions about yourself and about your worthiness and about what you can and can't do and can and can't have, you have learned coping mechanisms that no longer serve you. So whatever it is, you can let go of that. You can let go of it with grace and ease. You can find peace of mind. You can find freedom of choice. You can live a happy and fulfilled life. So trauma, the first step is understanding what trauma is. This is fairly surface level. I'm going to go into it more deeply on the 3-day how you heal experience. But as I say, I want to give you something. So that's what trauma is. It's an emotional response to any person, place, situation, event that you do not have the resources to process. And usually they happen with children, because if someone said something to me now, I would look at them and probably think, A, well, oh, God, Lord, I don't know what's going on in your life. I hope you're okay. Or B, you're a bloody idiot, depending on what it is that they said. So that's what trauma is. Now, the consequences of trauma can be devastating. Trauma has a profound effect on our emotions, on our beliefs, on our self-esteem, and on our relationships. The trauma is often the cause of our negative coping systems, behaviors, even if it's like people pleasing, it's a negative behavior, feeling unworthy, so not say yes when you want to say yes, you're drinking, you're eating. We must stop focusing on what we're doing and focus on that. Okay, this is a trauma. This is a sign that something needs to be healed. This behavior tells me something needs to be healed. And the behavior of your drinking doesn't need to be healed by drinking. The behavior of your eating doesn't need to be healed by eating. They are the practical things you can do, but to heal them, to heal your people pleasing, to heal your negative beliefs, your self-doubts, your unworthiness, your pain of not feeling good enough, you have to look and find how you react in today, and to look at, this is what's going on when I feel this, that, and the other. So we don't look at what we do, we look at the when we do it, and that is the indication that there is something not unwell, hurt, something hurt. Trigger is a signal that there is a wound going up. That's what a trigger is. And you can heal, and it is not hard, and it has 6 main steps. And the first one, absolutely crucial to your emotional healing, is self-responsibility. Time does not heal. Time creates a distance between yourself and the events that have hurt you. And in the moment when you are triggered, that timeline collapses back into the moment. Now, you don't go back to that place or place in time, because you can't. What you do is you feel the emotion that the trigger, the trauma has brought up, and you bring that trauma back into now. You bring it into the moment. You don't go back there. That's literally not possible. You're not a time traveler. So you don't go back to that time. You don't go back to that space. You bring that time, space, thoughts, feelings, and emotion, which are amplified with every other related trauma around that, not feeling good enough, whatever, you bring it into now. You bring it into your present moment, and that's why you suffer. Does that make sense? And if you've got any comments, please put them in. I will respond. So self-responsibility and in emotional healing is the ability to take charge of your own healing, to notice when something isn't working, to notice how you're feeling, and to not go into blame, not go into victimhood. And I say these things with absolute compassion, not to put any focus, emphasis on anyone else around. He did, she did, they did, whatever. I'd say, okay, this happened, this hurts me. I am going to take self-responsibility for comforting myself, for understanding myself, for accepting myself who as I am, for forgiving myself, for doing the gentle healing work every time I need to do it, every day, whatever. And I am going to heal myself because I am sick of living in pain. I am sick of feeling unworthy. I am sick of not having the relationships I desire. I am sick of running myself ragged, people pleasing. I am sick. You are your responsibility. I am mine. You are your job. I am mine. Now, obviously, as a life recovery coach, you are my work too. But even if you were to come to me and say, help me, help me, help me, if you don't take responsibility for taking the actions and keeping in the awareness and developing the personal growth that I coach you to, you will heal whilst you're with me. You'll feel better whilst you're with me. But you're on a journey, as I am. It's a continuous journey, and it's a journey of joy. Self-responsibility is the first step and the key step to creating your emotional healing. And when we don't take responsibility, we stay trapped in our pain. When you don't take self-responsibility, when you rely on anyone else, you stay trapped in your pain. You can read as many self-help books as you like. You can listen to as many podcasts as you like. If you don't take self-responsibility for recalling, remembering, and acting on what you hear, learn that lands, and you're like, okay, I get it. You're just feeling better in the moment and not taking self-responsibility for repeating the things, the simple steps that you know will make you feel better. It doesn't matter how long you've been trapped in your pain. It makes no difference whatsoever. The moment you say, okay, I'm not doing this anymore, with compassion, with gentleness, with I'm going to do this for me, your journey starts. And then it's just remembering to stay on it within a framework. So the first step is self-responsibility. The second step, acknowledge and recognize your experience. Don't try to hide what hurt you. You are a mind, body, spirit. You are not a machine. You cannot compartmentalize. You can think that you put it into another room in your mind, another box, but it's always there. And when it triggers, that Pandora's box flies open and you're back in your healing. So I'll use myself as an example. I wouldn't use somebody else, but being hit as a child and not understanding why. It happened. It hurt me. It frightened me. These are the truths. I'm not going to pretend it didn't hurt. I'm not going to pretend it didn't happen. I'm not going to pretend it didn't hurt me physically and emotionally. I'm not going to pretend it didn't matter. I'm not going to pretend anything. It happened. Okay. That's already like, yeah, okay, it happened. But it hurt me. It's caused me pain. It's caused me trauma. It's made me feel whatever. But can you hear? I'm not saying he did, she did. It just bloody happened. It just bloody happened. And I allow myself, although I'm so, where I do it so regularly, there are no emotions attached to it because okay, it happened. I know it did. Oh, I love you, you silly thing. Poor mom, poor dad. That must have been really hard. You see how that heals me. I don't go down the rabbit hole of victimhood. And I'm sorry, I'm going to say the words you need to hear. There is no comfort in victimhood. There's no support and there's no healing. In self-responsibility, there's a comfort, support, and healing. So just acknowledge and validate your experience. This happened. It hurt you. You felt that way. And this is the impact it's had on your life. And that's it. You know now. Okay, so I'm self-responsible. This is what's happened. This is what's caused the pain. And now I'm going to deal with it. Because the more you think along the lines of self-responsibility, yes, this happened. And the more you don't go down the route of blame or shame or anything else, it just happened. There's no emotion attached to it. The way you think about it creates emotions. Like, yeah, it happened. It was wrong. I'm moving on. I choose to heal from this. I choose to. Don't give it any energy. Don't give it any energy. This is a choice you make. You make a choice to give it energy and keep yourself stuck in pain. You give a choice to let that go and stay out of pain. The next part is to practice self-care. When you feel low, Don't immediately turn to the non-comforts of food or alcohol or beating yourself up or judgment. Give yourself a hug. Just practice self-care. Take responsibility for making sure you have something always available that you can eat, whether it's your bag of nuts in your bag or a banana, that you eat breakfast if breakfast works for you, that you stay hydrated, that you'll talk to yourself kindly. What do you need from me right now, darling? Do three things. One thing every day to bring you joy. One thing to give you peace of mind. One thing to learn to help you. One thing for your mind, one thing for your body, one thing for your spirit. Every day. Eat well. These are choices you make. Choose healthier foods. Choose to go outside. Choose to rest regularly. If you're not used to practicing self-care, and a lot of my clients say that I've never done it before, so what? Do it now. And if you don't know how to do it, you reach out to someone who can help you, like myself. Create a schedule that incorporates your mind, your body, your spirit. Your schedule you may not be able to stick with it 100% of the time, but at least if you stick with it 80% of the time, just in your drinking, hydration, going to bed a little bit earlier, watching something funny on the TV, that self-care brings you back to wholeness. That self-care heals you. That self-care is showing you the love that actually is the only love you want and need. Everything else is, even our kids, is an extra added bonus, that love of ourselves. That love of ourselves. And please don't tell me you don't know how to, because that makes my heart break for you, and it also makes me really cross, because if you don't know how to do it, learn, reach out, research, read the self-help book, take the actions that work for you and do them. Ask yourself, what do you need right now? Ask yourself what would work for you. For me, walking in nature is huge. For me, being by the water is huge. I know that, and I do that when I can. And if I can't do it, I get outside and I breathe deeply. I'm wrong at that. I let shit go. I am responsible for that. At the end of the day, if I'm exhausted, worn out, and depleted on every level, I am responsible for that. As many of you know, I've been the last year has been mind-blowing for me. The last 4 months in particular, with the devastation of watching someone who I love so much go through the most horrific process, being with them and their bereaved sons as they passed, doing everything I can to support them with my own trauma, because I have processed it because I've made it my business. I've taken responsibility to process it. But when it was so off the scale to me, so out of the blue, so like, what the hell is happening? But rather than going to this, oh my God, what the hell is happening? I'm like, okay, this is happening. This is happening. What can I do daily to make myself feel a little bit better, a little bit more emotionally resilient, even though I don't know what's going to happen hour to hour, not day to day. Made sure I always took water to the hospital, made sure I ate a banana, made sure when I came home, I didn't watch the TV at all and just cuddled my girls on the sofa, made sure I went to bed, bought myself some bubble bath. I couldn't change the situation. I had no control over it. I had absolute control and responsibility for how I coped, reacted, and moved forward. And what I did for me has supported his sons hugely. I took responsibility. I practiced self-care. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Gentle conversation with yourself. Talk to yourself with kindness. Ask yourself questions. If you want a list of questions that you can ask yourself, what emotions am I feeling right now? What thoughts am I thinking that is bringing up these emotions? How do I want to feel? What do I need to let go of? And journal on the answers, because 2 things happen then. First of all, when you are asking yourself questions, you're bringing yourself out of the trauma automatically, because you're no longer in it. You're kind of like observing who you are when you're in it. It's very, very powerful, because you will notice that when you do that, when you start to become an observer rather than in, You are not in anywhere near as much pain. You can have a sadness observing you, but you're not back. You haven't brought the moment into the present again, because you don't go back, you bring it into now. So start to have gentle conversations with yourself when you're doing the washing up, when you're tidying up. How do I want to feel? What do I need to do to make me feel that way? Gently converse with yourself. Don't go into self-blame. Don't blame others. Don't blame yourself. You are where you are. Accept where you are right now. Know what you want to change. Take self-responsibility. Practice self-care. You're building yourself up. You're building yourself, rebuilding yourself as the whole person you came in this world to be and you're designed to be. You're practicing self-care and you're getting to know you. Ask yourself, what do I really love about me? And please, again, don't tell me you don't love anything about you. Stop saying that. That, I'm sorry, is victimhood, and that will keep you trapped. Ask yourself, what do you? I love my eyes. You can't really see them. I do love them. I'm a kind person. I think I'm really funny. And actually, I don't care who else does. I think I'm really funny. And the more I celebrate who I am, the more I amplify the things I love about myself, the less power the negative things that I've learned to believe through my trauma of being young, feeling unloved, being unnurtured. I remember thinking for years on my birthday, was anybody happy the day I was born? Isn't that a painful thought? I still remember thinking that thought, but there's no energy attached to it because I consistently do the gentle self-inquiry. I practice the self-care. I acknowledge and validate my experience. And I know that I am totally responsible for either staying in that poor, sadder little girl inner child self or moving and staying in the empowered woman I am. And the empowered woman I am and healing is the source. Healing is the source of your happiest life. Healing is the source of your most fulfilled life. Healing is the source of your best relationships, your biggest success. It all comes down to healing. It all comes down to it, and only you can do it. So you have these gentle conversations. We're going to go into 4 now. Reframe the negatives. Reframe them. I didn't feel loved when I was little. I didn't feel loved when I was little. Actually, that is now I know, I believe that I was so loved, but my parents didn't know how to show it. Can you see that reframe? I had a ton of evidence that I wasn't loved in my younger years through what went on. I had a ton of evidence. And because I didn't understand about healing. I didn't understand about myself. I didn't understand any of the work I do now. I just didn't understand it. But now I do. And I take, again, self-responsibility. And I think, okay, well, I did feel like that. What was going on, do you think? And I have these conversations with myself. I think, you know what, my mum would have loved to have been able to buy me the pretty clothes other people had. And I'm sure, I have no doubt that's true. She would have loved to have been able to do that, but she couldn't. And that will have caused her pain. And she must have been so exhausted. And the more I reframe the negatives, to be honest, the more compassionate I feel and the more forgiving I feel. And, I used to have this, I'm not good enough. And now I used to think I wasn't good enough. And I changed that. Now I know I am. Now I know I am. And I say it in a way, can you hear my voice? It's kind and gentle to me. On other days, I need to say it with more energy if I'm going to step out of my comfort zone in my business, if I'm going to do something, or if I'm going to be open, like about my childhood, which isn't, it's necessary. It's necessary. It's not like something that you really want to sit and chat about, but it's necessary. It's necessary for you, and it's necessary for me. So when those things come up, I just I comfort myself. Oh, I don't know whether I should do that. Of course you should, darling. Of course you should. I don't feel good enough. I used to think that, and now I know I am. So depending on the energy I need of that day, if I need an energy that's going to make me, yeah, do that, girl, do that. I'm like, yeah, now I know I am. So it's not a case of me saying the words, I'm saying them with the energy I need to reframe that negative so that I feel differently, which means I will start to believe differently. So reframe the negatives. Don't go looking for answers. you won't find, you might find answers, but you never really know. I don't really know what was going on in my mum and dad's life. I don't really know, and I don't need to. What I need to do is to choose to think, feel, and believe the things that I need to think, feel, and believe for me to feel better today and going forward. And that's why I don't think you need to dig back. That's why I don't believe, I do not believe you need to dig back. You need to, yes, you can uncover layers, but there's always going to be more layers. Where are you going to end up? How many layers down? And what pain are you going to go through as you uncover those layers? Stop with the uncovering. You know how you want to think and feel. And if you don't know, make a decision. And then you start to reframe those thoughts when they come up, which create the feelings. Your thought creates your feelings, that offers comfort, support, insight, empowerment, and continue on your healing journey. So reframing the negatives is really important. So we've got, you know, now what trauma is, you know, the consequences of not dealing with your trauma, and you know, five, sorry, hang on a moment, excuse me. So of the steps, you need self-responsibility. You need to validate your experience. You need self-care. You need self-care. Oh my goodness me. Oh, you need gentle conversations. You need to reframe the negatives. And the sixth one, self-reflection. Self-reflection. Self-reflection is when you stop looking out there for any sort of thing to hold on to. Yes, read your self-help books. Yes, hire a life coach. Yes, do those things, but only do them if they encourage self-reflection, because self-reflection takes you on the journey of where all the trauma lies and where all the hope, love, joy, peace of mind, freedom of choice is created. Reflect on reflection cultivates compassion and forgiveness. When you reflect on what happens or what's happened, you start to, without judgment, start to think about it in the same way I just talked about my mother. I don't know what was going on. I don't need to know. This is what was happening then, but without any sort of energy attached to it. Acknowledge the emotions that your trigger has caused. Just acknowledge them. This is how I felt at this time, and the impact it's had on your life. Don't go into it, just reflect on it. Okay, well, this allows you to develop compassion and self-forgiveness to yourself, and compassion and forgiveness to others, and also empathy. When you reflect on what's happened without judgment, you can also start to reflect on the other person's perspective at that time. This isn't to justify what happened. It's all to make you feel better. What do you think they were thinking? What do you think they were feeling? With no energy to it. Practice mindfulness. When you stay present, like right now, it's 11:30 on Tuesday. When you stay present, all that stuff from the past, all those fears for the future are not there. Presence is the key to peace of mind. Presence is the key to peace of mind. You bring into today your past. You bring into today your fears of the future, which means today is jam-packed with stress, anxiety, fear, worry, grief, sorrow, loss. And at 11:30 today, I don't know what's going on in your life. Your past isn't there unless you've brought it there, and your future isn't there unless you've brought it there. Presence gives you peace. It takes you out of here, over your overthinking, where all your problems are created, maintained, strengthened. It takes you back into your heart space where there is wisdom. Here is all the conditioning. Here's all the things you've learned to believe to be true about yourself that have created the emotions. Here, there is peace. Here, there is love. Here, there is laughter. Here, there is joy. Presence takes you from here and into here. And presence is easily brought into practice just by breathing. Just by breathing. Inhale for 5, exhale for 7. Inhale for 5, exhale for 7. getting outside, looking up at the sky, looking up at the expanse of the sky, looking for flowers in the hedgerow, deciding what you want to see this day. I see hearts. I choose to see hearts. Being present means you are no longer trapped in the pain of your past or the fear of your future. So that is my 6 simple steps to kickstart your emotional healing. I know from my own experience, from my 28 years of being trapped in my alcoholism, from depression, for which I was hospitalized twice, from my binge eating and my self-harming, from my feeling unworthy and people-pleasing, feeling exhausted, not always unhappy, because I've got a very joyful spirit, but at the end of the day, never having peace of mind. I didn't even know what it was until I started my healing. Never having peace of mind, never having faith in myself, never having trust in myself, never having love in myself, because of the trauma that I had experienced and the way I had kept that trauma alive in my life. What's true of me is true of all of you, of every single one of you. Now you have a framework with healing. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to do? Are you going to watch this once, think, oh yeah, that makes sense, and go back to your painful way of living? Or are you going to follow my other 4-step process of recall, reflect, reset, react? Watch this again. Recall what works in your lower moment. Recall, oh yeah, of course, this is what Sonia said. And I know, because you know when something's going to work because you feel it, but you got to do it. So you recall, you reflect, you stay in the awareness of it. That recalling and reflecting allows you to reset, and then you react, and then you heal, and then you don't pick up the drink, and then you don't down or eat all the packet of biscuits. And then you don't say yes when you're desperate to say no, when you don't overcommit, when you don't overgive, where you do step up and ask for the things that you deserve. Your happiest and most fulfilled life comes through your healing. That's it. That's all. So if you'd like to know more about my processes, my life recovery processes, I've got a variety of different packages that work. Or if you are struggling with your alcohol and you would like to become a simply social drinker, all you have to do is reach out to me. I am here. I am ready. I am committed. I know the simple path to healing daily. I walk it. It is a journey of joy and discovery and growth and happiness. And I take self-responsibility daily for doing it. Are you going to take self-responsibility for you too? Anyway, I will see you in the group soon. I hope you enjoy that. If you've got any more questions, let me know. And as always, be kind and gentle with yourself. Take care. Bye-bye.